This is it. Nobody can afford to relax. He's closer than ever.
No margin for error. The rest are playing catch-up. Extraordinary.
That turns it all on its head again.
11 races to go. This is Formula One.
Remember the expectation after an F1-free winter? All the ingredients were there, but something was missing.
You finished 45 seconds behind the Ferraris.
Australia offered redemption.
Jenson Button, he's a winner.
For some.
Look at how he's coming underneath
He's coming
him.
back at Michael Schumacher.
Monaco made a splash. Turkey got us talking.
Oh, dear, they come together.
Bubbling under, hotting up for weeks. In Canada, it came together beautifully.
The race was, I think it was one of the toughest races so far, but that's what you want.
This is going to be so tight.
It was a good day for us. The car was very competitive.
Hamilton under pressure from Alonso.
We were really close and we had some good fight.
Real battles with people on the circuit.
Is he going for the move? He's taken it. Lewis Hamilton back in the lead.
I had Vettel pushing me for about 20 laps, just so close to me.
It's Red Bull on a charge.
And Vettel right back in the mix.
It's great for the sport, having so many different teams fighting at the front.
Here's Mark Webber though alongside Jenson Button. Strikes perfectly. Michael Schumacher's gone straight across the grass.
Come out from the back, get to the front, be at the front and have a real battle rather than just sit there and cruise to the finish line.
It's past Alonso and it's a McLaren 1-2 now.
Who cares what the reason is? We had great racing.
And Lewis Hamilton wins again in Canada.
F1, back to its brilliant best. And now Valencia's time has come. No pressure then.
All the cars are always developing and improving. This weekend, 3 of the teams have quite a big upgrade.
I'm very optimistic we're going to have a good race.
It's going to be a tough race for us, but a race that we're looking forward to. I think we both enjoy the circuit, Lewis and myself.
All of the cars have been recently quite consistent with good starts, so it's probably easier to get it wrong than to get it right, but I'm looking forward and yeah, we'll see.
Well, the drivers are certainly primed, but in a weekend where F1 has a serious fight on its hands for attention, will Valencia finally deliver? There's no doubting the attraction of this coastal city where the beach, the bars, the buzz make it a natural fit for Formula One, but it's the cocktail on the track that perhaps needs a little remix. Can the slow corner, long straight combination finally deliver a classic Grand Prix? Well, I'm sure as far as the local petrolheads are concerned, any race that sees their beloved Fernando Alonso come out on top will be a classic. His popularity is the main reason for F1's visit to a city whose name is derived from the Latin word valletta, meaning strength. But will a strong weekend for Fernando give his fans something to cheer? Well, in 2 weekends' time, it's a different circuit, different local favourites, but with the same motor racing passion on display. People, we're on our way home to a new look Silverstone. It's so very nearly British Grand Prix time. And both David Coulthard and Eddie Jordan are very excited about the return to the green grass of home. But first, we've got the heat, we've got the beautiful architecture, and we've got the racing here at the European Grand Prix in Valencia to deal with. And David, actually, it's rather tough for this place, isn't it, to have to host a Grand Prix a couple of weeks after what was pretty much a classic in Canada.
Yeah, Canada was a fantastic race, and largely because of the tyre issues that Bridgestone had there. We had a lot of graining, the tyres were marginal. There's no such issues here in Valencia, and in the past we've not seen very good wheel-to-wheel action because of the nature of the track. It's very long straights, tight hairpins, doesn't lend itself to a lot of overtaking.
Now, Eddie, I'm not sure that any of our blood pressure can cope with the kind of race that we had in Canada every weekend, but actually when you look at how close it was in Turkey, followed by Canada, then qualifying yesterday, maybe we've just got to get used to this new look Formula One where it's just super tight at the front.
Well, the form in Formula One has been turned on its head. Years gone by, it was McLaren and Ferrari, and that's all changed now. You've got the addition of extra teams. There's 5 teams here who could win this race. It's absolutely enthralling, it's intriguing, and it's exciting for the fans.
You seem to be thriving on it, actually. You really like it when it's really close at the front, don't you?
Well, indeed, because as Eddie said there was a period, and mainly through my career, it was all about 2 teams. But what we have here, I don't agree there's 5 teams can win this on a straight race, but I think there's 3 teams that have got a real chance of winning this Grand Prix.
OK, so it's close on the track. It's also close in the standings at the moment. Take a look at this, and your eyes are not deceiving you. There really is just 6 points between the top 3 guys after 8 races in 2010. Lewis Hamilton leads the way. Jenson Button, his McLaren teammate, just behind him, with Mark Webber, the one-time leader, now sitting 3rd. Fernando Alonso, a former champion, is 4th, and Sebastian Vettel would dearly love to be world champion. He's 5th, but by the end of today, he could be the man at the front. Let's have a little look at the Constructors' Championship as it stands at the moment. McLaren leading the way. Red Bull sits 2nd, with Ferrari and Mercedes Grand Prix 4th. We've talked about a top 4, and Mercedes are just about clinging on to that. Well, we're not too far away from race time already, just about 45 minutes to go. These guys will be excited about the race today. They were rather excited after qualifying yesterday because it was just incredible. We had some big names struggling. We had some people showing a surprising turn of speed. We'll talk about them in just a few moments. But most impressively of all, when it came to the crunch, there was virtually nothing to separate the boys at the front. Here's Lee McKenzie.
Valencia was basking in the Mediterranean sunshine, but things were hotting up on track. With 3 Spanish drivers in the field, it was left to Fernando Alonso to give the crowd something to cheer about. He just missed out on getting into the top 3, but was delighted with the progress of his Ferrari and starts from 4th.
Interesting qualifying. Maybe we were a little bit more competitive with the Prime compared with the options, so when we switched to Q2 we struggled a little bit more, and in Q3 as well. But at the end I think 4th and 5th is good result for the team, confirm the step forward we did in this race, so tomorrow we aim for a podium finishes, so I think we are in a good position.
It was a tough day for Mercedes as their new developments didn't advance them up the grid. In fact, both Schumacher and Rosberg had their worst qualifying of the season. Schumacher was lucky to scrape through to Q1, but when he made...
In the car, we sort of looking actually strong. And we did as well in Canada, but it doesn't help if you qualify where we do qualify, and then you have to get the race from there.
It was a much better day for Williams though, with Nico Hülkenberg out-qualifying veteran Rubens Barrichello. It was made all the more impressive as Hülkenberg was not using the F-duct and his teammate was.
I think no one expected that I can beat Rubens because he was ahead of me all weekend pretty much, and I never really had the key and the answer to it, but in Q3 I think I had a decent lap. I don't know whether he did a mistake or not, but I just beat him for a small fraction of time this time. In Montreal was the other way around, so it's pretty positive, both cars into Q3. I think we can be happy with that.
McLaren arrived in Valencia as one of the few teams not to bring any updates, but they were able to match the pace of the front runners, and if it hadn't been for mistakes on track from both drivers, they could have been fighting at the very front. Button qualified 7th, Hamilton is 3rd.
I think if I was to finish the last lap that I was on, which obviously I was pushing way beyond the limit and locked the rears into turn 17, and these things happen, but when I did that I thought, okay, I've really lost ground here, a lot of ground. But fortunately I came in and my previous lap was also an awesome lap.
It was all looking good until the last corner of qualifying, so I was pretty happy with the car, and I'd locked up into the last corner. I got a bit of oversteer through the quick right beforehand, and I think that just set the car up a little bit wrong for the last corner. Locked up, ran wide and lost 2 tenths, which was massive.
The doubters who said that this was not a Red Bull circuit are having to eat their words after another dominating performance from both drivers. It was Sebastian Vettel who charged through quickest, but he had a long wait to see if he could keep pole position or whether his teammate would steal it off him.
Very pleased, but I had to wait a long time because there were a lot of cars coming, so I was sitting in the car waiting. Felt endless, and yeah, it's good to be on pole.
So it's a Red Bull lockout at the front, with Lewis Hamilton in 3rd and happy to be on the clean side of the grid. He has the Ferraris beside and behind him, and Button is in 7th. Petrov is delighted to be in the top 10. Birthday boy Nico Rosberg is in 12th, and the Force India has split the Mercedes. Lotus celebrate their 500th race, starting in 19th and 20th, and Bruno Senna is at the back of the grid.
Well, once these warehouses used to hold all of the fishing paraphernalia. These days, the tinglados are where the people that can afford the best tickets in the house hang out. They're right above the pit stops, so they see some fantastic action during the race. We're actually not far away from the Sauber garage. Another tough day for them. They start 16th and 18th on the grid for tomorrow's race. But as far as the guys at the very front are concerned, David, your maths was working overtime yesterday to work out a pretty incredible stat about how close Sebastian and Mark are.
Yeah, I wish I could take credit for having worked it out. But anyway, a little bit of help. There was 800ths of a second between the first and second guy in the grid, which around a 5.4 kilometre lap, of course, everyone at home knows, is 56.8 centimetres. Wow. So just over half a metre between those two guys.
And there was me trying to give you credit for that. I spent all last night in my hotel room thinking that David Coulthard's amazing. He can drive cars, he's good at maths, but
you can still think that.
I do think that. Okay, just between you and I. Eddie, talking about amazing and not so amazing, who disappointed you in qualifying yesterday?
Well, obviously the big disappointment was Mercedes, and to some degree I think Force India, there was disappointment there. They looked so good in the final qualifying. They looked like making two cars into the top 6, top 7, and as it happened, they were outside the top 10. They were disappointing, but generally I think that was completely in the shadow of the excitement of the race, of the qualifying. Was pretty on the balls of your feet. It was ripping. It was absolutely in every way. It gripped everybody in the whole place here. It was fantastic.
It was amazing. The pressure was on the guys because it was so tight at the front there. And both Jensen and Lewis in the McLarens showed just how much you can be punished for making the smallest mistake in qualifying at the moment.
Yeah, both of the guys just had little mistakes on their lap. I don't think they were as comfortable with it. And I think, as we saw after we interviewed him after qualifying, he was really disappointed with that performance.
And Lewis also made a little bit of a mistake, but he said he was amazed to make driving alongside Jensen, isn't he?
He enjoys it, completely contrary to what we saw against the Alonso thing. These are two guys that are comfortable in their own environment. They appreciate each other. Big manufacturer pumping in lots of money into an engine program, then you get a different product. And well done to Cosworth and well done to Williams, one of the real darlings of the Grand Prix circuit. That they've been around for so long.
Well, I think actually just when you mention an engines, one of the reasons that they've actually seen better performance here is they've both got fresh engines. And I think it's one of the issues for Cosworth, that as the engines get to the end of their life, they lose quite a lot of horsepower. So I think a lot of that is down to having fresh engines here.
And let me just quickly point out the best nickname in the whole of Formula One, the Incredible Hulk, Nico Hülkenberg. He won here in GP2 last year, and he'll be going in the Williams, having out-qualified his teammate for the first time. Now, we're not too far away from lights out for the European Grand Prix, and things such as the lights at the start, or the safety cars, or the marshals, are things that we all see during a Formula One weekend, but an awful lot goes on away from our eyes. Martin Brundle had an access all areas pass to get under the skin of Formula One.
With an increasing focus on safety for spectators, drivers and track workers alike, circuits have changed dramatically over the decades. Expansive runoff areas and debris fencing mean that marshals can be placed well away from the track and the driver's eye line. It's often hard for them to see the warning flags, especially when close behind another car on rainy days. F1 now uses satellite technology to solve the problem.
Formula One cars don't have some goodies such as anti-lock brakes and airbags, for example, but they do have a military-grade GPS system which is accurate to less than 1 metre. The FIA and British-based EM Motorsport have developed an LED light panel system to supplement the flags. It uses the GPS signal to recognise where every car, including the safety and medical car, is positioned on the racetrack. This information is then transmitted to race control and all teams. Here in the FIA Nerve Centre, the vast amounts of information received from the fast-moving cars is processed. The system is based on a map of the circuit layout, and it's very easy to focus in on every area. The system includes these LED light panels, which must be visible in the brightest of sunshine. They have the same meaning and importance as the flags, but they're much closer to the track without risking the safety of the marshals. Race control and the teams can also see when blue flags and lights are shown to slower cars about to be lapped. Marshals are empowered to activate the various warning signals, and those decisions are directly communicated to race control, who can override them if they choose to do so. Race control can send flag signals directly to the drivers via these lights and signals on the top of the steering wheel. Traditional flags are very much still in use, and marshals remain essential to assist drivers and clear away debris and damaged cars.
The teams also make very good use of the information to warn their drivers of impending danger zones.
2 drivers have gone off the circuit there. Okay.
And to help place their cars on clear track during qualifying or in the race pit stop phase.
Since it's been introduced, we've been able to see exactly where the cars are at all times. They enter the pit lane when they cut a chicane, when they go wide on a corner, or even off track. You know, you can see everything all the time, so it's completely invaluable to us now.
OK, we're getting close to the race now. You can see the interest outside Red Bull. Those are our German counterparts from RTL who've been flying the flag for the past couple of days in the TV compound. Sebastian very shortly will slip into the cockpit on pole for the first time since the Chinese Grand Prix. But just going back to Martin's piece there, we see all of these aids to try and help the drivers not get in each other's way. But even in Canada, we still saw poor old Jarno Trulli blocking Fernando Alonso and getting berated by the Spaniard, didn't we?
Yeah, well, if you see this is just coming out of the turn 2 section, going into the first chicane. And really, Jarno should have seen Fernando. He should have been aware from the in-car lights, from the flags and from his team. But he holds him up all the way through 5, 6. And then even under braking into the chicane that takes him onto the back straight, he still holds position. There's either an issue between these two, and this is some bad blood that's coming over from the Renault days. But there you can see Fernando saying, what are you playing at? Jarno, that was just unfair. And that's the sort of thing that cost Fernando the chance to really be in the hunt. There was a number of issues there that meant he could have actually won that Grand Prix had he had a clean run.
It's amazing to see all the things that go on during an F1 weekend. You know, all of the GPS and the flags, the information sent down to the drivers. When you were the president of the GPDA, how involved, or the chairman, should I say, how involved did you get in sort of improving driver safety and things? Was there anything specific that you're proud of helping in Formula One?
Well, indeed, you know, we work constantly on track safety, working with FIA. Charlie Whiting has been fantastic over the years. But one thing that we actually instigated during the course of a season was the high cockpit size, because there was an incident during the Australian Grand Prix where I went right over the top of the cockpit of, well, here we can actually see it. Straight over the top of Alexander Works, narrowly missing his helmet. It started out as a good idea, it obviously ended as a disaster, but watch this from inside his cockpit. My car rides right up and over, just missing his helmet. So what we campaigned with the FIA was to have high cockpit sides, which are now mandatory in all the cars and in the lower formulas as well. So the driver has a much bigger level of protection.
Entirely Alexander's fault, of course.
Indeed, he shouldn't have been there in the first place.
Why was he in your way? OK, right, stay with us. There's loads of ways that you can watch today's Grand Prix right here on BBC Two. And here is the selection awaiting you today. You can see exactly where we are. Those are the Tingalados. And at the moment, if you want to press the red button, you can gear up to ride on board with various different drivers. There's also alternative commentaries available to you this afternoon. Now, we are well aware that it's a pretty busy weekend for sports across the country. So if you miss anything this afternoon, from the race to the F1 Forum, you can see it all on the iPlayer for the next 7 days. And of course, bbc.co.uk/F1 is the place to see all this. I'll be beaming live from every single race with Twitter updates throughout the weekend and an exclusive blog on Sunday evening.
As well as the inside line from down here in the pit lane.
Send in your questions
and we'll answer them.
It's not just about commentary, it's about being here, being in the middle of it.
Read all of my Formula One post-race reports.
Well, there was plenty to talk about after the Canadian Grand Prix, and hopefully there'll be plenty to talk about after today as well. And as you can hear, the pit lane is now open. There's Karun Chandok, the Hispania racing driver, making his way down and out of the pit lane to the start-finish straight. Let's take a quick look live inside the garage of Sebastian Vettel. You can see that Seb is in the car. Now, David, how important is it for Sebastian to have taken that pole position? His first pole since we were in charge.
It's critical for his championship campaign. In a position where he can, at the moment, he's running behind Mark in the championship. He needs to get himself in front to be able to, later in the season, get the full support of the team.
OK, well, of course, huge congratulations to Sebastian for taking pole. And last night, I decided to give him a little present to celebrate. So I've got this flag, St George's Cross.
Yeah.
Would you be prepared on camera to give it to Sebastian as a present? We're gate crashing the meeting. How's it going? Good. Got a little present for you. Come on, give it a cheer. This is the St George's flag. And we can just drape it over you. Give us a smile.
You know what I had?
What?
I had some return tickets from you from South Africa.
Oh, we don't need those.
No?
May the best team win. Are you going to win?
Yeah, we hope we draw and then get to penalties and then it should be fine.
And of course, Sebastian took all that in good spirits, and last night, while the car was under parc fermé conditions, which is why it's covered with that cloth, he went down and laid the St George's cross on there. So well done for Sebastian for playing along. A good sport and a good driver as well. And if we just take a look behind me, we can see Lewis Hamilton is leaving the garage to make his way out to the grid. Of course, he starts today's Grand Prix in 3rd position. And is keen to pick up a hat-trick of wins in Formula One. Now, the last time I spoke to him, we met up in Monaco and we discussed his sort of new moniker as the most unlucky man in Formula One. Well, since then, he's won 2 races, he's surged to the front, and he looks to be reveling. I caught up with him in McLaren's Paddock Palace to chat about life in Formula One. To arrive here in Valencia as the championship leader in such a competitive season, how good does that feel?
If anything, I think to myself, wow, we've had 2 Grand Prix wins in a row, and I'm only 3 points in the lead.
Yeah.
Everyone's talking about having a hat-trick here. The hat-trick is not something that's even on my mind. I would love to win, of course, and that's our aim, but this weekend's going to be even harder than ever. And that's a great thing, that each weekend gets harder.
You know, only one McLaren driver in the history of the sport has ever managed a hat-trick of F1 wins.
Really?
Yeah. Who do you reckon that would be?
Ayrton, yeah, of course.
Your hero. You might be thinking a bit more about that this weekend now.
No.
Are you sure?
I'll get it, don't worry. Just not this. It may not be this weekend, but I've got a long, long career ahead of me, so I will get it at some stage.
And it's strange, actually, the 2 races that have put you in this position to pick up a hat-trick of wins were totally different. First of all, in Turkey, I've never seen a less overexcited Formula One driver standing on a podium in my life. What was going through your mind at that moment?
I just mixed emotions, you know, because I won the race, but what the hell went on in the race? And you're just confused and you don't really understand sometimes. And so I'm not someone to fake the excitement. You just see it on TV. When I'm passionate and excited, you see that. But the next race, much better.
They're wheel to wheel as they go out now towards the track. He judged that perfectly, did Lewis Hamilton. Webber leading, Hamilton in second. He's got the inside line at the moment of this first corner, and he's taken it. Lewis Hamilton wins again in Canada.
A real test of all of your skills, you know, being quick, saving tyres, saving fuel, a real great mixture.
And how important is it for your racing that your personal life is smooth and calm and happy and you're feeling happy?
Well, the personal life thing is, you've got to have a balance all around. And the balance is having a balance with your family, with your friends, and then a balance in your commitment and your dedication to your work. In the past, maybe I'd have 2 at 100% and the others down at 70. And I feel like now maybe I have one of them maybe down at 70, but the others are all 100%. So I'm just working on that one right now.
What is the one that you would love to sort out and then you'll be 100% right across the board?
It's I guess it's communication with people that are closest to you, you know. So it's what I'm working on.
And how has it been not having your dad around for the past few races? Has it become normal yet to not have Anthony here?
I think it feels normal now. Yeah, I think that definitely the first 4 or 5 races was very strange. For example, Canada, again, it feels abnormal. It doesn't feel, you know, because last time I was there, he was there and we won our first Grand Prix there, and I saw him a while ago, and he said it's actually quite nice sitting at home having a bacon sandwich and watching it on the TV. So there's parts of it I'm sure he enjoys, but I'm sure there's parts that he misses. But he will come to some races later on this year, that's for sure.
And that's one big relationship in your life. I suppose the other one is your teammates. The 2 of you do seem to get on so well.
We do. We're keen to beat each other, but when I go out on the track, I don't say, okay, I've got to beat Jensen.
Yeah.
I think I've got to beat the Ferraris, I've got to beat Mercedes, I've got to beat the Red Bulls. The Red Bulls are always my target. If I was out there mainly with him as my goal, that would cause tension. I don't think that's really the way to look forward. We are a team, and in doing our work individually, focusing on the other guys, we'll naturally move forward and be racing one another. Jensen has absolutely every bit of information about my car.
Really?
Every single piece. He knows what spring I'm using, he knows what damper setting I'm using, ride height, and vice versa. I know everything about his car.
Surely you want to keep if you and him are super fast and he says, how's your car driving? Are you going to tell him everything? Are you going to give away all your secrets?
You don't. The reason for it being, at least from my point of view, how I see it, the way to be better than someone is to have exactly the same equipment. So in the perfect world, I have the same car as everyone in the whole field. Yeah. And then you set it up better and everyone has exactly the same setup, but you drive it better, then you've done a better job, hands down.
So if you give everything to him and then still beat him, you feel even better about getting that win.
And the same for him. I'm sure that's the same feeling for him. Our cars are generally set up almost identical. We just drive, and we drive so different. Yet when you look at the driver, an overlay of the speed trace, we're pretty much perfect line. They're together.
You think you can still win the title?
Absolutely. I think we both can.
All right. Good luck with the hat trick.
Thank you.
The World Championship leader is a confident man at the moment, isn't he? And if you think that Lewis is smiling at the moment, come and take a look in here, because you can see all the guys working away. They're all feeling pretty confident about but perhaps by the time we get to Silverstone, they'll be even more confident, because McLaren are preparing to introduce what's now known as the blown diffuser. The teams that have got it seem pretty quick at the moment, but what is it? Where does it live on the car, and how does it work? Well, in this situation, the only man to help us answer these questions, Ted Kravitz.
Well, it's the back of the car that we're talking about. It's called a blown diffuser. It's been on the Red Bull since the start of the season. Indeed, their car was designed around it. Now all their championship competitors are racing to catch up and copy it. Renault, Ferrari and Mercedes have it on their car here in Valencia. It'll be on the McLaren and the Williams in Silverstone. Lotus Racing's Chief Technical Officer Mike Gascoigne is going to tell us how it works. Mike, it's really about how you position the exhausts, right?
Yeah, I mean, we run a conventional exhaust. Very simple, just exits the exhaust gases out of the top of the car, gets it away from the bodywork. What these teams are doing are bringing the exhaust down into this area in front of the tyre, because how you manage the airflow around the tyre and around the double diffuser is critical. And they're using the exhaust gases to control that flow. They're not directly blowing into the diffuser, as we did in the late 80s and 90s. That produces a very sort of sensitive car on and off throttle, but they're using it to control the airflow around the tyre and improve downforce.
Okay, well, the advantage is that it gives you, the team say, maybe half a second. But one of the drawbacks with Mercedes, they found this weekend that it's actually cooking their rear suspension.
Yeah, the problem you've got is here we're exiting the exhaust gases, 800 degrees C, the exhaust gas temperature, straight up into the air. Now you're blowing it onto the bodywork, and obviously all of these components are very temperature sensitive, and that'll be a real issue in today's race. Those that are racing it for the first time have got to be very careful under race conditions, 57 laps, that things aren't going to get too hot in that area.
Okay, are you going to have it on your car later, maybe in the year or next year?
For a small team, it's quite a difficult thing for us to develop. We're trying to focus very much on next year's car. We're looking at it, certainly something to implement for next year, maybe for this year.
Okay, Mike, thanks very much. We'll see you on the grid.
Thank you.
Very interesting. I'm afraid to say we've lost Eddie Jordan. Let's hope that Martin Brundle can keep him under control on the grid. But David, we've talked about the fact that the race on the track is one thing, the development race is something else. And Red Bull have bought a big updated F-duct here this weekend, and it seems to be in the business at a circuit where it's actually quite important.
Yeah, an F-duct solves the rear wing, takes away some drag and gives them more top speed, and that's an area that Red Bull have been complaining they lack horsepower and they lack top speed. Clearly it's working because they've qualified on the front row.
OK, I'm Iago Schwaro, just nipping off the grid maybe to get out of the sunshine. Two men with no such luxury though, Eddie Jordan and Martin Brundle. Martin.
Welcome to the grid, welcome to Eddie, and they're just pushing Felipe Massa here through onto the grid. They have to stop them at the back, and so they don't run over too many people. We're at the back of the grid, Eddie. We've experienced that in our careers, haven't we? And it's tough back
all
here,
too long, Martin. I think you and I together, but we have sampled the front as well, so it's balanced itself out. But this is a daunting place to be, Martin, at the back here, because you're in for anything and everything.
Yeah, well, you've got a good grandstand seat. The well-known Irish driver Timo Glock here, and Timo, what sort of race are you looking forward to?
I'm looking forward to it. It will be a good race, I think. I mean, Valencia was every time good. We had good races. I like the track. The car looks not too bad, but you know, the focus is after the race, and I've got a little present.
We got something from Martin. Yeah. We have a little surprise for him. Come on, show him.
A little present for you after the race. You know, a proper football shirt for you.
Excellent. I think you've got more chance of winning this race than they have of winning the match tonight. But it's really soft. I can polish my car with that. Thank you very much. That's lovely.
It will be a big match after the race, I tell you guys.
No, I'm going to keep it because that's a great shirt and I respect you. And have a great race.
Thanks.
Right,
well
EJ, what are we going to do?
He's a top man, actually.
Lotus are here. They're starting their 500th Grand Prix. They last raced in 1994 before this comeback. Clive Chapman here, the son of the founder of Lotus, which had their first race back in Monaco, 1958. Can you believe? And Clive, how does it feel to see Lotus on the grid again, celebrating 500 starts today?
Well done to Lotus Racing for getting the Lotus mark this far. And big salute to all the Team Lotus guys who did the 491 Grand Prix before this season.
Now, your dad was a great innovator in Formula One. How do you think he would view Formula One today?
Well, he'd probably have a 100-item job list within the space of 2 minutes, and he'd be giving Mike Gascoigne an even harder time than Tony Fernandez does. But obviously he'd be fascinated to see what's happened to F1.
Clive, I've got to say this because it's been a long-kept secret for me and you, but I'm not sure many people realise how close Lotus and Jordan were getting together in 1991 to actually partner each other. Documents signed. Could have been your salvation, it could have been your detriment, who knows what.
Well, we were just using you, Eddie, actually, to get a better deal, so I'm sorry about that.
Everybody does that, don't worry about it. You won't be the first or the last.
The story of F1, we're going to move on. Have a great race. I don't know if we've got any of the Lotus boys standing on the grid. Have we got one over here, one of the Lotus drivers? Follow me, Ed. What am I going to do with this? Can you hold that German football shirt for me, please? Thank you very much. Now, look at this. This is a very wide area that they've got on the right-hand side of the grid. They can actually just zoom off if it all gets a bit tight on the grid. But down into turn one, which follows the grid immediately, all gets very tense. And I think today's race is going to be very interesting if Lewis Hamilton can get off the front of the grid. I don't think there are any Lotus drivers. It's so hot out here that most of the drivers have just disappeared and decided to get out of the heat. It was well over 40 degrees centigrade when I last looked at the temperatures. Let's have a word with this young man, Mr. Kobayashi, talking here to a legend of the paddock. How are you, my friend? Quick word?
Yeah, okay.
So, difficult qualifying for you, and what can you expect from this race?
Well, I think qualifying for our performance was pretty poor. But I think for today it's going to be another story, and I think track temperature is really high, so I think we have to really manage with the tires, and it's going to be a survival race, so I think I have to finish the race.
Tell us about the tires today. How difficult are they going to be?
Well, I think rear end is going to be very, very nervous on the braking, but I think everybody has the same problem, so I think we can use so much in the braking performance, just we have to really carry on the speed in the middle of the corner. This is key, I think.
Race fans in Japan still as enthusiastic as ever. They've been huge and fanatical people with regard to sponsorship and indeed drivers. Is it difficult going home these days?
Yeah, at the moment definitely for us it's difficult. But I think we had it quite difficult the winter, and now still we left like 4 months or 6 months after the contract. So I think still we need time. I think pretty for us is going well.
Wish you well.
This gentleman, this brolly dolly here is Joseph Leberer. He's a legendary trainer to Ayrton Senna and everybody through the years. Good to see you, Joseph.
Have a good time this afternoon, okay?
Very well. He is such a character. Right, we've got a Toro Rosso boy over here, Al Jaswari, on home turf. Let's see if we can get a quick word with him. Jaime, so home crowd, home support, some extra energy up there for you?
Yeah, it's amazing always to drive in Spain. Unfortunately, yesterday qualifying was not really the best because we struggled a bit with the soft tire. But in any case, it's always nice to drive here, and hopefully we get to the finish line and some points for sure.
Now your teammate is up there in 11th on the grid. He's got a big target on his rear wing for you, I guess. You'll be looking to try to catch him at some point.
Yeah, definitely. I know our race pace is really good because we tested on Friday and we were quite fast. So we need to keep that pace up today, and we see what we can do.
The car, what people may not fully realise, it's not just a sister of the Red Bull car, it's its own design and its own. Do you think the development is occurring and moving on as quickly as you had it when you were with Red Bull?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we're a small team, and step by step we are getting to the point where we want. But obviously we know our limitation. For sure, we need to learn a bit more with the soft tire, especially here, which was very unstable, and you need to learn to deal with that.
Thank you.
Have a great day. Let's turn Michael Schumacher back here in 15th place. Dreadful weekend for him so far. He had a brake issue in qualifying. I can't imagine for 1 minute he's going to talk to us. We're getting
Come on, Martin, we've tried before.
We're getting very close to, he's just in a fairly intense conversation there. And talking tyres, talking final. He's got a lot of work to do from 15th on the grid. I don't know, I would think...
Michael, could we talk to you, please? Marty.
I think that's a no, EJ.
I don't know.
I think that's a...
OK, well, we tried anyway.
We did.
Get any better than that.
Nico Rosberg is in 12th place. Let's see, he tends to, it says, 25th birthday today. Bernie, how do you feel about Valencia? You still happy with this venue?
Good. Wonderful. I think it's magic.
How did you know it's him?
I don't know how we let this guy in here.
Listen,
I mean, honestly...
Take my pass back, please. Do everybody a favour.
The BBC must be able to find better people than him, I'm sure.
That's what they tell us, but he's doing just fine. Right, Nico Rosberg is not available to talk to us today. He does 3 on the grid, and we didn't book an appointment today. So, Jake, it's back to you.
Thank you very much. And what did I say? Could Martin keep Eddie under control? No, he couldn't. But he tried. Do you remember it was here last year, actually, wasn't it, that Eddie dived into the garage and grabbed Michael Schumacher? He was successful on that occasion, but I think that was a firm no from a racing driver who looked quite in the zone, actually.
I think he was just being rude, quite frankly.
That's one way of putting it.
Why would you not want to talk to the BBC?
Well, I don't know. Why wouldn't you? I suppose it could be because he's starting 15th on the grid, and actually at a circuit like this, 15th is quite a dangerous place.
You hope to be, but just tell us what you're going to be able to do from there today.
Well, it's my fault I'm in 7th, so I made it difficult for myself, but today will be a fun race. It is difficult to overtake it, but I've run with quite low downforce. So I think I've got about 4Ks on everyone, including my teammates, so it's not a bad position to be in. And we'll see what we can do.
You know, come down to safety cars and strategy?
No, hopefully we won't have any safety cars because we all want to get out and watch the England game. But no, it's on a serious note, if we don't have safety cars, we can still do something from where I am.
Have a great race.
Thanks.
Let's take a look at Sebastian Vettel's pole lap. 3.4 miles in 97.5 seconds, flicking across the start grid on the pit straight. We're into the lap. Another brilliant pole for Sebastian Vettel.
What a lap by Sebastian. A double victory is on his mind today. Eddie's back from the grid. Eddie, you have been well and truly Schumachered.
I got absolutely stuffed by that Schumacher, and I was nice to him in all those years ago, but he's forgotten. Maybe he may regret that.
Yeah, well, he's a man under pressure, of course. His current team, Mercedes, are struggling. His former team, Ferrari, were looking for a big improvement this weekend. The best they could cope with yesterday was 4th and 5th on the grid. Let's now hear from the team principal, Stefano Domenicali.
Stefano, how's it looking? Are the upgrades that you've brought to your car working?
I mean, I think so, because Red Bull is always pushing. They brought the new parts also here. They did a good step. I think that for what we are seeing with the hard, we were reasonably competitive. With the soft, we didn't get out the maximum from this tire, so we need to understand. But we know that every race, if you want to win, you need to keep pushing. That's the only thing that you have to do.
Okay, thanks, Stefano. Have a good race. This race is just a competition between your two drivers, isn't it?
No, absolutely not. I mean, Lewis is going to be strong. This track should suit their car. We were really surprised at our performance yesterday, and Fernando in front of his home crowd, is going to be a factor as well. But hopefully we're starting in a really good position. Hopefully we can get a bit of air between the two of us.
How are you looking on tyres and on brakes and on Vettel's gearbox as well?
All okay so far, but we haven't gone anywhere yet. So I think there's no major concerns. It's not like Canada on the tyres here, so I don't think it'll be as big a factor.
Okay, have a good one, thanks.
A Red Bull versus a Red Bull on the front row. That's going to be interesting. So, it's Sebastian in first, Lewis in third, who will win the first Anglo-German battle of the day.
we certainly going to win. I'm afraid for the English, but I guess that the players have a bit more holidays after Sunday.
You got to hold and give, but do it at the right time. You can be slow,
that's clever,
fast, but you must get to the line. They'll always hit you.
Nico, good luck. Come on, England.
Only one way to beat them. Get round the back. Catch me if you can, 'cause I'm the England man. And what
Just bring you luck. Come on.
is the
Good luck.
best of them. We ain't know who